I like to find the center of all these pieces. You'll notice that's a pretty common practice with a lot of stuff I do. Makes it easier to figure out where the excess goes and such. And you'll see what I'm really doing here is I'm just transferring that mark to these other pieces. Now we also need to do it here, and so what I'm going to do, that's 14 1/4, so theoretically it should be 7 1/8. But just to make sure, I measure it both directions, and then pick the point in the middle between the two marks you get. I didn't get 2 marks because it was in fact 7 1/8. So I want to put this piece where I line up these 2 marks, which you probably can't see, but I mark the centers, and I want to put this piece to here. There's 2 things I want to do. First I want to look at this piece and I go, I look at that side, then I look at this side and I go, I like this side. Look at the character this thing has with that red in it, so I want that to face out. So I'm going to put that down. Then I look at this piece. This side looks good, it'll work. And really either side, wouldn't matter. Doesn't matter which side of this one I put down. I guess I'll put this side down. Now I'm going to line these 2 lines and then nail it together. And that'll give us the same space here as here. But that's one of your assembly tricks. As you assemble things, pay attention to what the parts look like, what the good side is, what the bad side is. Most of the time there won't be any difference, or very little. It won't matter. Truth is, when all is said and done, you're the only one that's going to know the difference anyway. Excuse me. Excuse me. Hey. Well, those of you that watch my woodworking channel have noticed the supervisor comes around. She has to check, she has to make sure everything's going just right. There's no problems. I'm doing my job just right. You come over here. That's you get right here. You just watch over everything, okay? Five eighths. I guess I like this side a little more. Now this one here we do a little bit differently. First, let's mark halfway. And you know it doesn't have to be exact, so I'm just going to eyeball it. I want to get it right in the center, so I'm actually going to transfer this line to the center. And that would mean I need glue on this side. I like the looks of that. It didn't look like it came out quite right. That's actually better. And then this has to be parallel. About like that. I think I'm about out of staples here. Now the other thing that I've done here is I chamfer the edges. See if I can see it here. I actually sanded these. You can do this with a sanding block if you don't have a belt sander. I use a belt sander because I'm lazy, and I have one. A lot of people don't. Now again, which side do we like best? Well, I can't tell much difference here, so I'll just go this way with it. This is more feel than anything else. I just feel it. And here's what we're going to do. And this is exactly how we made a version B stand. Same principle completely to this point. Okay, so you see what I did though. I put glue right here where these two pieces were rested on this piece. Also get glued. And again, don't go too far in. If you go too far in, you got that. Same on that side. Okay, I'm going to take the side that I've done a little bit of artwork on here, and I'll put it over here on this side. Looks good. There's one. Now look at these, and if I have a bad side, I'll make sure I put it toward the inside. I don't. They're both good both ways. It doesn't really matter. But this, you can make this mistake here. We definitely need the overlap one down at the bottom where the legs are. In other words, we're turning these into little 4-inch legs or whatever they are. It's generally good to turn them over, wipe the glue off here. If you don't wipe it off, you're going to have to sand it off later. So, you know, it just takes a second to do that. Now, all I have to do, and by the way, that's exactly how we made a version B stand. These two parts are the same. They're the two ends of a version B stand. Now, thing is, I'm going to cut the hole differently though. And see if I can find my template. The first thing I have to do is I have to drill a hole here and here. I'm not going to show you how to do that because you know I have to do it. And just so you can see it fits in there like that. And we're going to cut out this piece. And I'll just use my little palm router for that. Nice mirrors. This, by the way, is just a flush cutting bit. Normally I use a 1/2-inch diameter flush cutting bit, but one I had was getting pretty dull, so that 1/4-inch one is all I had. Now it occurs to me that I didn't show you how to put this piece together. And I'm not actually going to put it together for you, but I do want to show you a couple things about how I put it together. As you might imagine, the most important thing is making sure it's square. So I've kind of come up with a little technique for doing that with my system and what I have in my shop. You'll have to develop something for your situation, but I have this old table saw that I glue things on. I like the flat surface, and I like the fact that it is square. So what I do is I basically bolt board up here that I can butt right up against. Alright, you take this piece, which has a half lap cut on this side and this side, and I'm going to level it up so that it's square with this edge, and then we're going to take and we're going to butt it right up against that edge. And once it's there, I don't want to clamp that one in place. Then we'll take this piece and we'll match up the half lap on this end and this end. Slide the 1 inch in piece as well. Glue here and here, put it together, and then we use our stapler with, I actually use 1/2 inch staples for this, but if you could use 5/8, you just have to put them in at an angle so they don't protrude through the other side, because this in fact is 5/8 thick in my case. You might be doing this out of 1/2 inch material, I don't know, depending on what you select in your plans. That's the trouble. You have choices. That's the trouble in life, is sometimes our choices just kind of get in our way. But anyway, you see the trick here is mostly let's find a way to put it together square. The other thing is that I like to get all the imperfections to what's going to be the inside. Where the staples are is the inside. When we nail this onto the box, we're going to nail this side, so we're going to put it together so that this side is out. The long piece on top and bottom will be out. And so that's pretty much your note on making this piece. As you can see, this piece is really pretty darn strong. This joint here has a lot of glue in it. It's a very strong joint, gives you a lot of lateral strength, and you know, that's one of the reasons that I decided to go to this version C type stand. So there you go, that's your parts scenario for the stands. You should end up with an arrangement that looks something like this. Watch your assembly on it, and you're all set.